you're kind of a stupid guy, but you've really got a good grasp on
a stupid guy.
Could we
Franken my bow?
Exactly. Could we do a Frankenbow, and could we put the Lift 33X cams on this bitch and see what would happen?
And he got done shooting a 30X round with one particular brand X. And he gets done shooting, he turns around and said, "That bow's good, but it won't win Vegas."
Ooh, that was a hot pop.
That was a hot pop. I feel like you
cheer me.
I feel like you did it fast.
Oh, you didn't hit record.
I've got the good.
Starting over.
I've got the.
Oh my
I
gosh.
purposefully brought
You're
the good mic
freaking
on
rookie.
this because I've done this twice. Listen, can you be in charge of that, and I'll be in charge of that?
Sure, if you want to do it that way, that's totally fine. But you got to tell me when you're actually turning it on, because we'll sit down here and just start talking.
I know, and
then
the
you
thing
go,
is,
"Oh, it's not on."
Okay.
I
literally. Okay, listen. Here's what's happened, just in case I decide to cut in, because I feel like I hurt the Quentin podcast because I used some of the bad audio for the first few minutes, and I feel like people were watching it and then be like, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
So sorry, dude.
I
apologize.
We could just start over.
Well, okay. Here's what we have
that's
done.
Clean, right?
We just popped.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, let's do it again. Let's do a little cheers.
Cheers. Woo.
Tell me about your brew.
So this is from Brick Works. The same gentleman who brought all these by for the grand opening, and he brought some 64-ounce light beer growlers because he heard I like light beer and I don't like heavy stuff like Brandon does. Because I like canoe beer, close to water. You can drink it all day. It's good stuff. So, but I'm just giving this a whirl. I've had one other one. I thought it was good. It was a while ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, those are in there.
Well, you had a swig. What do you think so far?
It's good. Yeah, honestly, it tastes heavier than your traditional light beer. You should try some of it.
Well,
I would say it's honestly almost close to that, just like a light. Because I actually like that. I just know that I'm a cautious boy when it comes to the carbs and the ice maker that you told me to that I told you to remind me to turn off. We haven't turned off, so I'm gonna turn that off real quick.
All right,
It's running right
go
now.
turn it off. I don't think we would hear it, but it's fine. All right, so
There's a switch on it.
I am a fan of the Boozy Bitch IPA. It's a hazy, and
out of all the ones I've tried, I actually like that the best.
yeah. Well, and the other
really
thing is
do.
this is still like 8%. It makes it harder to drink. So like if this was a 6.5, it'd probably be even more drinkable. But I like how hard this hits. Like it's just I don't know. It's a really nice mix. So again,
punched in the face.
I'm very appreciative to the folks at Brick Works for sending these over. They don't sponsor the channel or anything like that, but like I feel like they kind of did by the fact that they dropped off like a few $1,000s worth of product.
It's very
to
fair
us.
of that, but we are technically only sponsored by one person.
Who are we sponsored by?
ME. Did I tell you about making a jersey or whatnot that just is like sponsored
it's
by
like
me?
the Talladega Nights.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's just
the hood just says ME on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, hey, use discount code BMAC.
Go ahead.
Discount code BMAC, podiumarcher.com for 10% off your purchases. Josh and I are basically building up like a credit, and we're going to go do an unbelievable hunt. We're going to film the entire thing. It's going to be like super epic.
Yeah.
So I appreciate using the discount code if you use it, because I'm going to really, really benefit from it. Thank you. All right. Follow me on Instagram at Brandon _Archery. Actually go do that. Like, I feel like my Instagram is just tiny. Like, and when I message people to try to get them on the podcast, they're like, oh, you're pathetic. You only have, I don't know how many I have. And I need more people so that I have more influence, so that I can get more people on the pod, like more cool guests.
How many do you have?
I don't know.
Do you want to sign into mine as me and just pretend like you're me? I have no problem with that. like 4 people have access to mine.
I'm going to go through your DMs and I'm going to start messaging random people as you. Yeah, actually, I do want this. I do want this.
Just don't ruin my life. I don't have time.
Follow Josh on Instagram at Podium Archer, and let's get into it.
And the YouTube. Don't forget about the YouTube.
I forgot. This is on this is and the podcast is out on all podcast platforms now.
All audio platforms. Subscribe wherever you like. Please leave reviews. Reviews help a lot. It helps us grow, and it makes it look more significant in the space if you leave reviews. So if you like this or you enjoy it, we're going to look for that feedback. If you don't leave it, then we think maybe you don't like it, maybe nobody's listening, and maybe we don't do it, right? So if you don't leave a review or you don't comment or anything like that, if you're not interacting with it to some degree, we don't know if anybody's really paying attention, because it's actually really hard to diagnose how many people are actually listening or watching, especially once you put it on multiple platforms. You have no idea, right?
Yep.
So it's really, really critical to, if you like it, leave a review, please. It helps us more than you know.
The other thing is leave a comment on YouTube if you want, like suggest some topics that we could talk about, things that you guys are interested in. Obviously, we're kind of going into like the summer lull where I feel like there's a lot of people that are going on vacation with their families. Kids are getting out of school. They're probably not taking as much time to shoot. You said that you see this like shop kind of slows down.
There's a 45 to 60 day bump in like, okay, what work project did you want to get done this year?
Right.
Here's where you're doing it.
Because now we have some time.
Yeah, we're working on a warehouse in the back, over the next month and a half. I just picked up a skid steer to do the dirt work. So and
I like how you were like, I'm not going to rent it. I'm just going to buy a skid steer. You're like, I'm not going to rent it.
I have one in Spokane.
Fully committing.
Well, I just told you, it's like, well, yeah, but then we can get like food plot equipment and things like that, and then we can put food plots out in Brandon's place.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in. Let's do it. No, I appreciate you buying.
I buy the skid steer. You buy all the equipment you're going to use, and then you let me use it whenever I want.
Buy you like the hydro tiller and all that kind of stuff on the front end.
Yeah,
we can go do some massive clearing up there to do a big 3D range on the back.
Yeah, possibly. I wouldn't call it big, and insurance wise, we can't.
It's not for everybody else. Again,
it's for fun. It's for us to go play with, and that's about it. But
it's probably just for you.
We can't be open to the public or charge. We just can't.
Yeah, I get it.
Insurance is a very interesting thing when it comes to businesses that I've recently learned. They will look for any possible means to not insure you.
Yep.
Like, we're an insurance company. We sell insurance, and we don't want to actually sell it to you.
It's because the federal government has gotten so involved, and especially when you look at like what's happened in the state of California, where a bunch of insurance companies, the state was saying, you can't charge over X amount for these houses, and huge entire insurance companies just said, we're not insuring houses in California. They said, we're not doing it. So I think insurance companies in general, we're seeing this across the board. This is the archery content people wanted. Then we'll move on.
You are not wrong.
They feel like they need to reassess risk. And especially with, you think about how much prices have gone up in the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh my God, it's bad.
You think about how have insurance rates gone up that much? Like they have to keep.
They're going up 15 to 20% a year.
But that's what they're trying to do, is keep pace with the increase of like, if something happens here and they burn half the shop down because whatever stupid thing, the neighbors over there burning plastic pallets, then that guy's insurance is not going to cover it. That's a true thing,
actually.
Yeah. Then they want to try to make sure that they're still making money and can operate.
Sure.
And at the same time, insurance companies are assholes.
Yeah, I mean, they're also trying to maximize profit, right? So everywhere they can squeeze it out, they can. But I swear car insurance, like the last 3 years, has gone up like 20% a year.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me either.
Year, and I just saw it again at like 15, 16%.
Look at what freaking cars have done, though. Like Joss and I
haven't gone up
trucks.
60% in 3 years.
No, you're right. But like, I still just can't believe, you look at what like an F-150 cost in 1985 compared to now. It's insane.
I agree, but I'm talking about the same vehicle I have over 3 years. They keep raising it. It's like it's not like I got a newer rig and it should cost more. I've got a 92 Toyota pickup that they've raised it 70% in the past 3 years.
It's a classic
for insurance.
it's a beautiful antique, Josh. It's hard to get parts for, and they want to make sure that
they're actually very easy to get parts for. Actually, a lot of the mechanical stuff in that thing is Cummins, so you can go down to a farm store and get most of it. Actually,
that's funny. You just walk into Tractor Supply and you're like, "Hey, I'm working on my blah 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 on the Toyota."
Yeah. You have to go to a farm dealer that dealt with actual equipment like that. But
all right,
yeah,
let's talk about archery.
Well, I do hunt out of that rig with my bow and arrow, so that's technically talking about archery.
That was such a massive stretch. That was I wanted to. I have so many inappropriate analogies that are like 3-way connected to archery. Like, yeah,
we're kind of getting there.
Let's not do that. So, okay, I want to say a thing.
Say a thing.
I want to say a thing. I purchased a Bowtech Virtue. I purchased it, by the way. It was not given to me. I used my money and I paid for it. I may have gotten a slight discount, but I bought it and I used it and I killed the biggest bear I've ever killed. And I would like to not ever shoot that bow again. I've lived with it for a while. Like
So you tried being gay and it's not for you? Is that what this is?
Yeah. James is still fully embracing it. I am the gay.
Well, look at him.
So James from Bow Disciples, we love you. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with Bowtech. It has to do with the fact that if you need to get stuff too, let me know. This is what it has to do with 32-inch axle to axle. And I was curious about this because I didn't measure it. The string angle, the cams are smaller on that one than a comparable. Like the Mathews cams are so freaking huge that a shorter axle to axle bow in Mathews actually still feels longer because when you're measuring string angle,
right? Because
of those monster cams. So it just felt so short.
Sure.
And
every other bow you own is longer than that. You don't own a shorter bow.
That's
32.
True.
Everything you have is 33 or longer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So like it felt short. I hated performance mode, but I wanted the speed. And then watching the GoPro footage back of me drawing on my bear, where I literally, with all the adrenaline going through my body, I still hit that hump and then roll over and the whole freaking bow is shaking. I could have said, let's go back to comfort mode. Let's long mod, which I actually, the way that felt was pretty cool. Like I liked it okay. But I felt like what I was doing was just basically like trying to kind of Band-Aid, just trying to kind of Band-Aid something.
Trying to put a Band-Aid on a bolt hole.
A little bit.
Yeah, you don't like it, but
I just didn't like it.
You're trying to make it work.
But I also, like I wanted to kind of give it a shot. And I put a lot of arrows in it, a lot of arrows through it in the time that I had it. And I got it hammering out to 100. Like I spent a lot of time behind it. But I still didn't pick it when I went to Total Archery Challenge. I went back to my 33, my Lift 33.
Sure.
And I just got this. And I just got this. And I feel like I'm a bad person because I just can't freaking quit Mathews.
Very sexy bow.
I know. I just still feel, and I've said this multiple years in a row, when I keep going back to Mathews, I feel like it's just that ex-girlfriend that you just can't quit. Yeah. You know nothing about this. That's how I feel. I just feel like when I pick up a freaking Mathews bow, it feels like a Mathews. But this doesn't feel like a Mathews.
It feels better than a Mathews.
It feels better than a Mathews. I'm not kidding. It does.
It's wild.
Now, we've dialed it up. So we did some stuff.
We put it on steroids.
We zhuzhed it a bit. And so it doesn't feel as good. But this bow at 70-pound draw was so smooth. Like the drop into the valley, and then hitting the back wall, it's still very short. But there's like the hunting bows have a lot more tension through the draw. Like this just felt really smooth and easy.
They're juiced already. That bow is designed to be a forgiving, comfortable shooting bow. That's what it's for. And they don't make hunting bows like that anymore because they don't put out the speed. Right. They're always going to be shy of the speed, and then the average consumer will pay attention to that and not buy it. Right. Well, this is Mathews' version of we're going to make a smooth, forgiving, comfortable bow. And it's in our target line, but you can absolutely hunt with it. You take that giant brass weight off the bottom of it, and it's like the same weight as a Lift 33. It's light.
So, okay, here's what I'm curious about. Like, I want to know why this bow feels so good, and I texted you that it feels really forgiving. So, like, what I felt like when I'm at full draw, I'm a shaky guy when I'm at full draw, but I'm shakier on a bow like the Virtue. Just if I'm not really, really comfortable with something, I feel like for some reason my mind is like twitchy.
Sure.
I don't know why, but I instantly started feeling really comfortable with this really quick. The pin just sat at long distance. So I immediately was able to back out to 100 and start putting groups together that were like, yep, that's as good as I can shoot at 100. So now then I go, okay, what's the next upgrades that I'm going to be able to make to actually get even tighter? But that was on day one of me having the freaking bow. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's all in, honestly, most of it, if you ask me, is in the limb angle and the width of the limb. The whole system is wider than any other bow.
Okay.
And when you make a limb set wider, it's physically harder to torque. You can grab it and try to turn it and notice it's physically harder to turn than the next bow. That lowers and eliminates a lot of the left to rights. Left to rights are in your hand, up and downs in your peep. So if your group's big left to right, you need to pay attention to your hand grip, and you're probably shooting a little more finicky, a little more torquey bow. This bow is designed for precision. It's designed for accuracy over anything else. So it makes logical sense, and it's actually a very tempting bow to me. I may also hunt with this bow.
So I got out of the Virtue. I went and looked again. At 29.5 inches in comfort mode with the long mod, not performance mode, I got 312 feet per second.
Yeah.
Now, with the same arrow, with this, 29.5 inches, but we twisted it up.
A little bit.
Little bit.
Not a lot.
Not a ton. I got 300 feet per second on the nose. So I'm still 12 feet per second slower.
Correct.
But I'm still 300 feet per second with a 420 grain arrow.
Yeah.
Which
Out of an incredibly forgiving bow.
on a bow that, to me, like the confidence that I would have taking this out west, which I've already like decided. Like I drew a mule dag tier. This will be what I take out. The thing that I'm going to be so pissed about is not having the ability to put limb legs on here. Like that's the thing that's going to suck so bad.
I agree. It is such a nice little feature to have. I wonder if there's some way to modify something to make it fit or make it work. But the issue is the limb pocket angle and anything you would attach to it, that you'd be way more forward, so it wouldn't work.
So they do have this. I was looking at this threaded. Like, is there something that we could do here that basically is playing off of, like whatever, you install it and then give it a twist so that it's kind of locking into one of these cutouts that's coming out?
God, I don't know.
I know, but then the other issue is
there was products, a couple different points that would like hook into they had a quick disconnect that you could thread into, and put two rods into it. But I don't know. I don't know of an option. I think it's something you're going to probably have to fabricate to some degree to make it work.
The other issue is then you're still sitting your cam in the dirt.
Cam's in the dirt,
which I don't love.
Yeah, no, you want to pick the front up so the stabilizer's in the ground. I mean, you got to love the limb leg system because nothing's in the ground. Stabilizer's not in the ground. Cam's not in the ground. It's just sitting there on a tripod. And with the 15-inch front bar that I was using, I was literally able to, on steep downhills, I would lean it down. I'd lean it in. And so the back part of the engage system was off the ground, but then the bow's still stable. By the way, what I'm running for stabilizers, if you'll notice, I've got a 12-inch ramrod off the rear, and I've got a 15-inch cutter on the front. I did that just to mess with you. I know you did.
Now, I have been shooting it this way, but I literally just grabbed...
For those of you that don't know, I actually make some really nice stabilizers, and they're very popular, and he keeps... me every time he does something. Hey, here's our jar.
I took it away so that we could stabilize the all right, that's $1 in the swear jar. By the way, when you hear a dip in the audio, that's one of us saying a swear word, and we have a swear jar that is absolutely loaded with money at this point. We just keep adding more to it.
Just keep throwing in dollar bills. Yeah,
that's right. That's what we keep doing. So I didn't mess with the bars at all. Like I basically just took kind of what I thought was going to be weight, and then held it up and was like, okay, cool. I've got a little bit of left tilt, which is what I want to try to do to eliminate. Because when I follow through, the top of my bow falls back to the right.
Oh, okay.
So like what I want is that true follow through where I'm getting to the left.
Gotcha.
What we also did was I just committed to a 29.5-inch draw versus 30, which is what I'd typically been doing. If I'm holding good and I'm pushing forward and I'm pulling back, I get that nice explosive shot. My back end goes back good and hard. Front head goes forward. I probably want to add a little bit more weight off to the left because I'm still basically my follow through's farther, and then the bow will come back forward. But
gotcha.
Like we'll come back to the right. But like it still feels like it's already kind of on the right track. Why do more people not like? Why would this not be a bow? First of all, what's the retail on this?
$20.99.
$20.99.
Yeah, so about the price of a Hoyt carbon bow.
But that's
or a PSE carbon bow.
Okay, but that's expensive. Like
that's
compared to
the most expensive hunting stuff you can buy for sure.
Okay, all right.
There's not more expensive things out there. Why don't more people use it? I think it's probably very overlooked. Realistically, it's new this year. It wasn't heavily heralded in the catalog itself. It wasn't like people were like, "Oh, there's new titles and da 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 da."
Right.
Because a 36 or a 38 is going to be your most common specs on those bows that people would use for target, and not a lot of people look through the target bows and go, "What can I hunt with?"
Right.
Right. Which this bow, like I had a TRX 34 before, loved it. Thought it was awesome. Great little hunting hybrid bow. And I had a Title 38, and I couldn't get over how hard it was to torque. Like left to right, it's like I can't really miss left to right unless my pin's just moving all over the place. Like when I shoot, it almost didn't matter what I did with my grip. It still did the same thing in my hand.
And that tells me that like if you were a newer shooter, why would you not choose a more forgiving platform?
Right.
Like it's odd to me that a shop wouldn't, and I get it. If it's a $2,000 bow, I also like how I was just like, I just want this. And I know I just want it, and you could have been like, it's $3,000, and I would have been like, well, shit, now I don't want it anymore.
And it's a good thing that your wife doesn't listen to the podcast.
That's exactly right. I love you, honey.
In case she's sneaking and not telling you.
Yeah. Well, I think that, first of all, she knows, like, I instantly went out and I probably put 150 arrows through this thing yesterday. Like, I just neglected work. Because I love shooting, man.
Well, and try to think of it this way. You don't spend... Your budget on bows per year is less than one watch.
Valid.
So what are you upset about? And what is she upset about? How many watches you got there?
There is also a chance that the Rolex dealer reached out to me yesterday and was like, hey, we just got this thing in. Do you want it? And I was like, oh, God. So it might be a big month. And I just dropped my bear off for a full amount at the taxidermist today.
If I ever get to that point, just slap me in the face.
Don't slap me. I'm happy about it.
Well, that's you didn't ask me to do it for you. You can be as unsensible as you want. If I get to that point, just slap me in the face.
I think that we need to embrace people's art, and we need to pay the prices that they want for their art.
I'd rather go on a cool hunt.
I want to do that too.
Well, sure.
I want to do all of it.
I know.
That's the thing.
Well, you're farther along in that financial road than I am to be able to do that. I can't do all that.
Well, I think so. Like that
I'm
is
still, I'm still living like a humble papa, as James would say in here.
You are.
I'm living poor. Right now.
But that's
everything looks great, but I am being so cheap.
I have seen the F-150 that you've put 1,000 miles on.
Way more than 1,000.
Did I say 1,000?
Oh,
I meant 100,000 miles on in the last.
It's at 93,000 ish. I think I got it after Dad died with like 80 on it. And a good portion of that's been driving across the country and driving around
and then
here,
driving
to PA and back.
Yeah.
Which I did it. Zero mechanical problems.
No, it's awesome.
Zero. No lights, no warnings, nothing acted weird. It's burning oil because it's a 23-year-old rig, and I think I put a quart in it for all the way to PA and back, and I haven't checked it since I got back, but I checked it like 2 hours out, and I need to add more oil.
No issues.
So it's not bad. It's just a minor.
But the point of that part of the conversation is like I am embracing living a little bigger, and I'm also playing it up a little for the podcast as well because it's a funny
I know,
we had a beer made for us called Boozy Bitch because it's funny.
Yes,
because
that's because I make fun of you and call you that
because it's a character that's kind of grown up.
Absolutely,
but I will say that like. I don't feel like I'm compromising some sort of foundation that we've built. Like I'm not.
No.
I don't feel like I'm selling assets in order to go buy toys. Like,
no, I agree. I agree. You're in a very secure state to be able to do the things that you're doing, and I'm just a little bit behind you in that regard. Like I'm doing the hunts now, and I'm spending the money on those things, and I'm extending myself more than I ever would before.
You just spent a shitload of money on this.
I just bought a very expensive building.
Yeah, I mean, how many watches could you have bought for the price of this building? One Patek Philippe is the answer. Not joking.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
A really nice one, yeah. A really good Patek.
It's a watch.
You don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand. It doesn't. Some of them. It's not even about telling time.
Is that the Lamborghini of watches, or what's the most expensive car? What's like the most expensive car?
Comment below if you know what the most expensive car is.
Is that like a
production, like a Bugatti?
Bugatti?
The Koenigsegg. There's some hypercars that are like super limited production that are probably like impossible to get. Hey, like and subscribe if you're still here. Again, BMAC discount code on Podium Archery. Good grief. Use discount code BMAC at podiumarcher.com.
The boozies hit hard. Huh?
It is, apparently. Well, I'm sweating, too. Like, we were outside mucking around.
It's warm. And it's warm and it's humid.
We're glowing right now. We're glowing.
Glistening, Brandon. Glistening.
I want to go back to talking about this because I still am curious. If I were a new archer and you handed me a shorter axle to axle bow, like a 30, and then I picked up this, I would be very sad that I didn't have this. And actually, so I had a Chill, I don't think it was a Chill X or a Chill R. I found it when I went to Virginia because I gave it to my brother-in-law to use, and I pulled that thing out, and I drew it back, and I was like, holy crap, this thing is rock steady. rock steady.
That'd probably be an X, not an R.
Yeah, you're
The
probably
R
right.
was kind of extreme. The X was super forgiving.
It was probably the X then.
The 35.
Okay, 35.
Yeah, 35
But it's like
high
target
brace
bow,
straight
target
riser.
bow style.
Well,
Probably.
it was a longer axle to axle hunting bow in its day. Limbs were more positioned like that.
Right.
Longer.
Yeah, longer. The riser seemed shorter.
And it was more of a skeletonized riser. It was their pre-version of a lightweight riser, and then they went back to heavy, and then they now made this different platform with shorter limbs, lighter. And it's funny, you could like go through like 30 years of Mathews and follow a pattern.
Yeah.
Like they come out with a new platform, right? And then they follow certain things in the platform, and eventually it gets super light.
Yep.
And then they change the platform to something else. So
and then
if that's any consolation to those of you that follow bow trends and follow what they're making and get excited about it, is they're really light right now. So what happens after they're really light? They come out with a legitimately different platform.
I just think as a person who I don't feel like I shoot as well as the gear shoots.
Nobody does.
I
take that back. There are a few people that shoot as good as the gear shoots.
Well, I mean, like watching Bodie step out at 140 plus.
Yeah, I was going to use that a thing he said once. I heard him say, I'm not going to say the brand because I don't want to pick on it, because he was trying different ones to decide what he was going to settle on, which he has signed with Mathews now. He's a paid Mathews shooter. He was not sponsored by anybody for money. Like you get gear and whatnot, but that's different. And he got done shooting a 30X round with one particular brand X. And he gets done shooting, he turns around and said, that bow's good, but it won't win Vegas. And he shot a 30X round.
Did he just feel like lack of forgiveness? He just had to fight it?
There's still a lack of forgiveness, yeah.
Dude,
it's wild. And he can tell. And I'm like, and I guarantee you the top 30 can tell that. Can build it, put it together, and go, yeah, my misses miss instead of catching.
Right.
When I'm out a little bit, it seems to go out. And I'm not nearly good enough to compare to that, right? But I've had bows that are like, man, this bow misses more than it should. Like I know what my pin looked like and what my movement looked like, and they're hitting outside of that. Right. That's a problem. Because if you and everyone, if you can follow it and pay attention to it, which there's tools that'll measure it, but if you can follow what your pin float looks like, if your group is bigger than your pin float, something's wrong. Like if you go down and look at your average group, and then that average group is larger than how much your pin is moving on the target, you got a problem.
So let's go down the list of things, starting from the most common to the least common that you think that would be. Oh,
there's a number of things. You could be fighting the grip really bad.
Well, I mean, what if the bow's just out of tune, straight
honestly,
up?
Honestly, out of tune bow still won't shoot a larger group within your pin movement. It really won't. Like a out of tune bow, as long as you're shooting the same arrows out of it over and over and over, it'll just hit somewhere else. Out of tune doesn't mean it doesn't group. Out of tune means it doesn't fly straight. Dude, the number of professional archers that will shoot their bow without a clean tear on purpose.
Oh, for sure. Tail left, that's very common.
Yes.
Yep, for sure. No, I know that, but I also wonder about at what distance. And then I also wonder about the variation in the arrows. Like is that even a thing where you're getting your weak spine is high on one arrow and then it's at 3 o'clock on the next arrow?
Sure, but if you're logical enough to understand that reality, you're turning them to try to resolve that. And if you've gone through and done that, and they're still shooting a group bigger than your pin float, you've got some problems. One, your peep could be the wrong size for your front housing and it's harder to center. Your grip could be not consistent at all, like you're constantly fighting it. Your draw line could be slightly wrong. There's a lot of things that can toenail into that if there's no consistency to your group. If your group is, high and low all the time, or your group is left and right all the time, that helps pinpoint what the problem is. But if your group's just big, no matter what, you got a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard to identify. You just might literally just fight what you have. Like you just might not be able to shoot well what you've got, no different than Bodie turning around and saying, the bow's good, but it won't win Vegas. Like there's parts of this bow that just don't respond well with what I am do.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. And he's that good.
And he's freaking 18 years old.
18, yeah.
But the insight that they have, so like watching some of the videos with Paige Pearson, James, and Brianna from Bro Disciples, it was so interesting watching like the things that are just second nature to them that they know. As far as there was one where she said, we test the stabilizers, we'll have somebody basically act like wind and they'll bump the bow and see how quick it recovers. And like, I've never done that. I've just held the bow to make sure that it like feels good and like sits. I've never thought about, okay, when there's wind, how quick is this thing recovering? I feel like the sucking the last like 10% of accuracy and knowledge out of archery requires you being in a group of people like that group of people, like hanging out with people that know that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and the surprising thing with the majority of people at that level, like if you shoot in a group with them, which you can go to a tournament, sign up in pro class, and you'll end up shooting in with those people. They're very inviting, they're very nice, and they're very willing to try to help you get better. Like they really are. So if you're like,
even
if you're good, if you're really good, I'm serious. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. Like if I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. Can you help me?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. No doubt. Even me. Thanks. Great. But like, let's say you're pretty good at archery, but you're not great, right? But you're getting there, or you strive to be there, or you're working your way up and you're achieving things. I've never known, well, I take that back. I've known one or two that were not super nice, but in general, they're all very nice, very accommodating, trying to help, want you to be better at archery because they want to beat you at your best. They're not just trying to win, they're trying to beat the best version of you.
Right. Yeah.
And in reality, they're shooting against themselves to shoot as good as they can.
Of course.
But on that competitive drive, they don't want you to like shoot like ass and beat you. They want you to shoot great and beat you.
Right. But what's interesting about all that is I think so many people don't understand what it would take to get that last 10%. The knowledge that you have to have of every part of what's going on with you mechanically, and then every single part of what's going on with this and the arrow and the fletching and the nock, and like they just rip over things. Like another thing that I found so interesting was Bodie taking the nock, or was that Bomar? One of the people were basically taking the nock and running it along the serving to see nock fit, and it was so sloppy. And they were like, "That's how I like it. I like it super sloppy.
You want it super sloppy. You don't want any resistance whatsoever. You should be able to clip your nock on the serving and flick it, and it should just spin around it and not slow down."
See, and to me, I was like, no, I don't want that, because when I draw my bow, I want to make sure in a hunting situation, I want to make sure it's not popping off.
It won't pop off as long as it clips. If it clips on and you tap your string and it doesn't fall off, it's not coming off.
That's good nock fit.
Yes.
Okay.
And you should be able, like I said, spin it, and it should just spin freely. And the whole premise of that is if there's no resistance on the serving, it can't not sit down the bottom of your loop.
Yeah.
Because you do not want this to where it physically touches both sides. You want a little tiny bit of room in there.
So that
where
it can
you can
kind
move
of
it up and down just a little bit, because it's going to compress and it's going to get slightly shorter.
Yep.
Right? And then if you can flick it, that means it'll fall to the bottom. Gravity will take over and it'll always be in the bottom.
See, but that's one tiny little itsy bitsy part of what we're talking about in this entire thing.
Sure.
So on this platform, it was not perfectly in tune when I left because of what you did, not taking his time with me. He decided to just half-ass it because it's me. And
Excuse me?
We shot twice through paper. I got a left hair. He adjusted it with the new system, and then
you shot it again. You shot like one good and then one bad, and it's like, okay, shoot it 30 times. Get consistent, because you're inconsistent in your grip, so we know how it is.
Well, the other thing is there's no point in getting it totally dialed, because I want to shoot
strings
this.
Anyway.
And I also just like, even if I don't change them immediately, I want to shoot the strings in anyway. So, but now I'll go home and I'll like get it perfect. But already I just find the platform so forgiving. I want people to know that like, you don't have to choose a hunting bow this year. If you're newer, like something like this may be worth looking into, because I know it's expensive, but like to me, this may be one of those bows that I keep for quite a while and just enjoy shooting. Leave it with a certain type of setup, leave it with a certain type of arrows, leave all the components on it, not mess with it, and like just enjoy getting it out and actually just shooting.
Sure. Side note, there is not a two-piece quiver or Mathews quiver that fits on these bows, for those of you that are listening. So you have to use something else, because they're not designed to hunt with, or they don't intend for them to be hunted with, so they don't make cutouts in them for the quiver brackets.
I think they should.
I totally think they should, and I was really disappointed when the 34 came out that they didn't. They also don't make it in a camo. You can only get it in target colors, and they only offer one target color that you could really hunt with, which is flat black.
Flat black.
You can't even get a ambush or a slate or any of those other flat hunting colors. They don't make it.
We should talk to Mathews about that because, like, I feel like it would be really subtle. No, let me talk to him. Trust me. Let me just give me their phone number. Give me Mathews' phone number.
You want to know why?
No, I
okay,
don't.
Of course you
fine.
don't.
they have two separate. They have two
Off
separate
camera,
lines.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, all right, perfect. If you mount, because I'm using the bridge lock,
Yeah, you can use a tight spot.
Then I can use a tight spot.
It's tight.
and it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, you're not going to leave anything on the table. In fact, I should post note this. Michael, who runs the pro shop in Spokane, he hunted with a Title 36 last year. Okay. Even tore it apart and had somebody Cerakote it like a fade to black.
Oh,
so the upper part's brown.
Yeah.
And he used the tight spot quiver, the same one we were looking at for the airlock.
Yeah,
because it's smaller and lighter.
Yep.
Than the other ones.
Yep.
And ran it right just over that. Bridge locked his sight. Was 6 setup. Very accurate, like stupid accurate.
That's the thing. Stupid accurate, and for me, again, just confidence inspiring. Because when I get the pin out there and it's actually just naturally wanting to sit, I don't get shaky. I get less shaky. I'm me amounts of shaky. But it literally it genuinely does inspire confidence in the shot, which for me is a big deal. Like, I'm not looking for monster amounts of speed. Right. I don't. And you've talked about it, like for some of the antelope stuff that you want to do, you want a wicked fast arrow.
Well, I want a fast arrow because it can allow me to shoot farther away. I like to set up bows, at least a couple of them, for really long distance fun because I just like shooting that far away.
Absolutely.
And the only way you're going to do that is to increase your weight and lighten your arrow. It's the only way you're going to do it. Now,
you can change your anchor point, buddy.
Sure, you
can.
Drop
that finger down, raise that peep way up.
You can. I mean, with a traditional anchor point and a standard sight, the only way you're going to shoot farther away and not extending your sight down into the arrow's path is by shooting faster. Period.
Makes sense.
You can have a higher peep position, use a giant nose button to stick your head up higher as well, which I strongly encourage because that will allow you to shoot farther away if you're trying to shoot farther. If your goal is to get farther away, there's a couple ways to do it.
And the nose, I am running the big nose button.
Yeah, you'll add 8 to 10 yards.
Well, and I was also curious because I felt like that peep was right on the border. Like I felt like I was at times getting just a little bit of light at different spaces around the housing as it was kind of floating around in the peep. Mm-hmm. I put that on and it was money. Got it. Like now I'll shoot it and just see what I think. I actually think I want to raise the peep up just a hair. Mm-hmm. But that's always what happens. Like we take them home, we mess with them, we shoot them at the house and we let it kind of balance out. Because you talked about changing the peep 3 or 4 times just on.
Almost every time I do a long distance bow, I probably go back and forth on peep size at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Like I'll shoot it, and then I'll shoot it the next day, and then I'll shoot it the next day. Go, it's too big. Change it up. Shoot it the next day. Shoot it. Goddamn, it's too small. God, frickin' A. Yeah, that's technically one.
Thank you.
So it's the peep size is so important. It's wildly important because if you're off just a little bit and you start stretching it out, it's amazing how much it changes your impact point.
If you get light around that thing at all, and that thing can't be perfectly centered inside the peep. So what I was doing before I put the nose button on at 100 was basically setting the housing on the bottom of the peep. Mm-hmm. Like just that became my reference point. It was so easy for that thing to creep up and then, bad miss. Mm-hmm. But it was always a vertical miss.
Yeah.
Like always a vertical miss. And that was, I don't know.
That's because that thing does not torque.
Dude, I'm so impressed.
It's an amazing bow.
I'm so impressed.
Yeah, I'd love to see, and this will probably never happen, but I'd love to see that ridiculously wide limb set on their hunting bows. Because it would be amazing to see how hard it would be to get like a Lift 33X to torque with that.
Yeah, but because those things are so fat and giant, it's going to be slower because you're just moving this amount of material.
Is that why, or is it the aggressive nature of the cam they choose to put on the other one?
I mean, I guess that's true.
Because
all you have to do is bulk this material up. If it's slower, all you have to do is bulk this up. So that's true.
I don't think that makes a difference at all.
You might be right. But then why wouldn't they put that on there?
It's heavier.
Just heavier.
It's heavier. It's unnecessary to make. I mean, at the end of the day, what do they think they're selling a hunting bow for? Why? What's the purpose? What's the purchasing power behind it? It's physical weight, noise, vibration, and speed.
Yeah.
That's what makes somebody buy a bow. Typically, those main 4 characteristics sell a bow. If you go, this bow shoots so much better, but it's heavier and it's slower, you lost 20% of people.
Maybe more than that.
Well, I was being generous, I think.
What's the brace height on this?
I don't even remember. It's high. It's above 6, below 7.
It's still below 7 though?
I'm pretty sure it's below 7.
All right.
I'll go grab a tape real quick.
I'm just curious.
I'll go get it. Might take me a minute. I
Do
go run
it.
in the other room.
Let's do it.
All right, hang
just for fun. We'll just measure the brace. Yeah. You can stretch. You want a pillow? You want a pillow for your bottom?
No kidding, right?
No, that's not that bad. 6.5, 6 5/8.
Yeah, it looks like 6.5 to 6 5/8, somewhere in there.
Okay.
What do you see?
Yeah. Whoa. I see a broken string.
So they would probably call it 6 3/4 because they traditionally do. I think they measure them without the grip on.
Yeah.
Normally. So, but yeah, I mean that's higher than any other hunting bow you can buy from them.
Yeah.
That might also have something to do with
that may contribute to the forgiveness.
And it could be the fact that it has almost no reflex in it.
Yeah. And you've talked about that too.
That might actually matter. Wild.
Well,
now I got to look at it. Let me grab an arrow. Keep talking.
Okay, so what he's talking about reflex, he's talking about the grip position to, is it the limb bolts?
Limb pocket.
The pocket? Are you the back of the pocket?
Right there. Where the limb and the limb pocket meet. It's where the limb and the limb pocket meet, and then how far the handle is based behind that. And this is one of the lowest reflex Mathews bows you'll ever see.
Yeah, super low. I mean, what does that look like to you?
It's under an inch. Well, if you want to hold this
half inch, 3/4 of an inch.
Put your hand in the middle, like right on the riser, and just hold there. Got it?
Yep, got it. This is the most interactive pod. By the way, if you're just listening, what Josh is
about 3/4 of an inch to 7/8 of an inch of reflex.
Okay. Josh is just basically running around like an idiot. He's going to pull a cord out is what's going to happen. Because
I'm very cautious of the cords.
No, you're doing
I'm
good.
walking around barefoot. I will feel them. We're okay.
You're doing good.
So, but yeah, that bow is 34-inch axle to axle, 6 5/8 brace height, less than an inch of reflex. Mathews does not make hunting bows like that, ever. That is a design of an engineer that goes, this thing needs to be accurate and forgiving and drive tacks.
And it doesn't have to be an absolute speed
demon. It doesn't have
demon.
to be extreme.
But,
that's right.
Okay, let me ask you a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Could we put... You know what I'm talking about with this? But I'm just curious. Could we...
Franken my bow.
Exactly. Could we do a Frankenbow and could we put the Lift 33X cams on this bitch and see what would happen? We'd have to get custom strings.
Well, shockingly, you wouldn't have to change much because it's a 34-inch axle to axle bow and the Lift 33. So just add an inch to everything. Add an inch to this, add an inch to that, and add an inch to that. I'd probably do 7/8 and an inch. So use the same yokes. Yeah, you probably could. Well, I'd have to measure it. I think this is the same width. They all thread together. I bet you can.
Do you think that
they're designed for a given limb angle? So what poundage it ends up being is God knows.
Yeah, but like I'm just curious if I'm going to switch strings next time. Like when I go to the Gas System X,
you want to make me a giant pain in the ass, don't you?
What if we just
hey, let's just play with this. And make this and
imagine the views that YouTube video would get, Josh.
They'd probably get really mad, but
they wouldn't get mad. This is mine. I can do whatever the hell I want.
They don't want me doing it to the public and go, here, guess what you can do.
Well, okay, so let me ask. So, do you think that it would the larger cam? What I don't know is the whatever you call this, basically where the string comes off, where the bow's at rest, the takeoff. Would it
load out point?
The load out point. Would it bring it back? Like with those bigger cams, would we actually end up with a resting brace height that was longer because of the way those...
Probably. Well, you'd have to measure from the axle to that point out at rest to know that. And I bet you it's not because that's oval shaped and it's pushed out back.
Okay.
So it's probably similar.
I bet your string angle would actually be friendlier on the big ass cams
too. A little bit.
Hilarious.
Oh,
but
God.
Is the speed coming from the cams or is it coming from the limbs? But I guess the only way to find out really is to just do it, Josh.
Well, the truest example of where does speed come from, right? So almost always the aggression is from the cam design and the speed comes from the aggression. So if you pull a bow back and it's harder to pull, it's usually in the cam.
It generally is that the more oblong the cam is, that would be considered aggressive?
Not usually the module side that actually creates it. So I would say not necessarily. I know old school, yes.
Yeah, because there was
like 20 years ago, the more egg-shaped it was, the harder it pulled.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true today.
Well, that's
like
true.
Like you look at what's the hardest pulling thing you can think of? Probably your Bowtech in performance. Now,
I was literally trying to think of if there was something that was worse.
Here's a great example of why it's not that. In performance and comfort, they're totally different bows. right?
Well, and
the
so it's
cam
obviously
didn't,
the module.
cam didn't change.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking
It's
of
the
back in the
aggression
day.
of the module.
But that's the odd thing then, even why make the cam this shape if the thing that's driving the draw cycle is the module?
I think it's a combination of the two, to be honest.
Obviously, it has to be.
But the biggest contributor to whether it pulls hard or pulls easy, I think, is in the module more than the cam.
And just like you just said, the fact that you can run it in comfort and it feels one way and run it at performance in one way, and all you're changing is the module.
And whatever, like Prime makes a speed mod and a regular mod that feel very different. The cam didn't change.
Yeah.
It's just the module.
Yeah.
And so it's how quickly does it get up to 70 pounds and how long does it carry that 70 pounds for before it breaks over?
Yeah. Interesting.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should try Frankensteining this bow. We should just do it. We should just do a thing. I'm just saying.
I just got so much free time on my hands, Brandon.
I don't want to lose.
That's going to end up being like a 6-hour project.
Well, it might be that I'll take 2 or 3 of your staff members at the same time.
No,
and
let's
just
not
do
that
no,
either.
I'm just going to be like, hey guys, come on here. Josh told me we could do this.
No, like if you're doing, if
I'm not going
if
to. I
you're
wouldn't do
committing
that.
to wanting to do that, I'm doing it. You're not doing that. That's a nightmare. Don't do that. Let me order whatever.
I want you to think through this, and I want you to think about the potential issues of doing it. And if we don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. But think about it. Think about how freaking cool that would be. Think about how badass.
If you
this
mic
would
the
be.
width of the cams and they're the same, you can do it. It won't be that hard to do. But what it turns out, you don't know.
No.
I don't just mean that. I mean, like, what does the bow peak at? What's the actual draw length measurements? What's the actual end-to-end axle to axle brace height measurements? You'll have no idea what it's going to be.
No
until
idea.
you do it. And I don't know if they're selling cams yet for like a Lift X.
Yeah.
Right? I think they are, but they might not be yet because they don't want you to do what we're talking about. Because reality, they don't.
This also feels like
I did this a bunch like 3 or 4 years ago. And people got all geeked out and freaked out on it. I'd like take this Bowtech and put that cam on it and this one and put that one on it.
Yeah.
And I actually had some really interesting results that I would consider to be improvements. And ironically, I made one bow that the next year they came out with almost that exact bow in their line, which was funny. They monkeyed with the orientation of the cam differently than I did, but they ended up with basically that bow.
That's
Which is funny, but it's doable as long as I got to mic this width and make sure they're the same. I think they are. I don't think they're any different. I think you could probably screw that on there.
This is like an end of the season thing. Like this is an after Brandon's enjoyed this.
Or you could just buy a complete another one and we bastardize that one. You keep this one functioning. And then you can compare them back and forth and say, which one's really better? See how I sold another $2,000 bow, folks? He's totally sucking into
Discount code BMAC, podiumarcher.com, which, by the way, you can buy.
Yeah.
Can't you?
Yes.
You can buy the target bows
You can buy that
online.
bow and I can ship it to you.
Okay, I'm not kidding. So this is not like a thing where I'm trying to sell frickin' bows for Josh using my discount code, except I am.
That doesn't work. It doesn't work on Mathews products.
It doesn't?
No.
You can't get a 10% discount?
No.
20. It's a 20% discount, actually. He told me. No.
It does not work on Mathews products.
So no discount, but he can ship it to you.
Yes.
But
and there will be no shipping charges.
I'm super impressed.
And we will put whatever module on it you want. We have them all in stock.
to make sure that
whatever
that
let off poundage and length you want them set up.
Well, and that's another interesting thing is this: you can get 75% let off.
75. Oh, you can get
80
7.
and 85.
You can get 70, 75, and
Really?
80. They do not make 85
You know why they don't make 85?
because it shoots worse.
Because 85 is for what? But pussies.
I believe you said vagines.
Vagines. 85 is if you're a vagine. So what? Okay, explain that to me. So give me 70, 75.
They're all
80.
more accurate. So 85% let off is not accurate. It does
Why?
not shoot good.
Why?
Because you can't hold it steady because you don't have enough holding weight in your hand and you're not holding 18 to 20 pounds at draw, which makes the bow balance correctly. You figure out the physical weight of the bow versus the holding weight and versus your length. When you go to point it, the lighter end back here makes it move around more.
So, okay, when it's 85% let off, what that means, that's a higher percentage. That means that you have less pounds that you are holding when the bow is at draw.
If your bow was 100 pounds and you had 85% let off, you're holding 15 pounds.
That makes sense. So if it's 80%, you're holding 20. If it's 75%, you're holding 25.
And how many pounds are we pulling? So do the math. If you want to hold 18 to 20 pounds, you need to be like 70% at 70 pounds to get to that weight, right within there, somewhere close to that.
So why do they ship with 85% mods most of the time?
I can hold this back all day. Once again, consumer driven, not accuracy driven. No different than most of your hunting bows are not accuracy driven. They're consumer driven. They're what the consumer is asking for, and he doesn't know any better. No different than they want this comfy, cozy, rounded, contoured grip that shoots like ass because it feels so good in my hand. You're not supposed to hold a bow the way you're holding it to say it feels good in your hand. It's the same thing. It's the same premise. Anytime you're looking at anybody's manufactured hunting bow, most bow brands are looking at it from the standpoint that this guy's getting no help when he buys it.
All
Because
right.
9 out of 10 shops suck. Sorry, they do. And any brand will tell you that if you talk to them. There's a very good likelihood that most of the bow shops you're going to go to aren't very good. They don't educate you. They don't explain to you what the difference between accuracy A and accuracy B is. Any good shop that's worth their salt will explain to you what you want a grip to feel like and how it's supposed to feel in your hand, right? They absolutely will. 9 out of 10 people don't get that. So why would you make a grip that was accurate as opposed to felt good?
Ooh. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And why do you want your, like, what's the phrase that you said? Mathews wins more 3-yard tournaments than anybody,
Yeah.
right? It's because they feel good on the shot. The cycle feels good. The bow's quiet.
It's quiet.
Everything about
No vibration.
what the average guy can get feedback from when he's trying it that would make you want to buy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's very accurate. However, there are also incredibly good shooting. And that I would commend. They didn't used to be. Like, they've gotten a lot better on their ability to make a bow that shoots really well, that you don't fight. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have said the same thing. But the reality of
or
it
if
is
you had the
that
triax.
with this bow,
if you bought the triax, then it also shot like dog shit.
So
But yeah.
understand when you get into the target line of bow brands, manufacturers look at their target line and go, these people are educated. They know what they're doing. They understand what makes a bow shoot good. We have to make a bow that appeals to that consumer. So when you look at a target bow, it's more accurate. It's more accurate for a reason. That's why this bow doesn't have more than 3/4 of an inch of reflex. Don't tell me reflex doesn't matter. Why do the target bows have less reflex? If that's true, if reflex doesn't matter, PSE, why do their target bows have less reflex? Hey, for that matter, PSE, why do your target bows have less reflex than your hunting bows if dynamic race height is all that matters? Give me a break. That's bullshit. And you know it.
Yeah, PSE.
They're going to get mad. Can you beep that out?
Do you even sell PSEs?
I do, absolutely. But no, I mean, that argument is futile because you're not even following that same argument on your target gear. Like,
you know why? Because the engineers are going, hey, this is really good for accuracy.
Yes, 100%. Like, find me a target bow that has a lot of reflex.
Well, what's interesting is
it
deflex.
doesn't exist.
Deflex.
Yes.
That's another interesting thing.
Once again, less reflex.
Less reflex.
Less.
Yeah.
Because if you get beyond 0, it's called deflex, not reflex. So anybody wants to make the argument that reflex doesn't matter, go look at every target bow made. And then tell me it doesnnt matter.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I still think this, for me, fundamentally, going back to this.
This has a higher alcohol content.
Josh is a little lit.
I'm just like,
he's a little
this
lit.
does not feel like I've had 1.5 Miller Lights.
You're getting.
It absolutely does
you're
not.
Getting plenty saucy right now. Okay,
God.
I'm going to take these bars off.
I'm
not cutting it out.
I just crapped on PSE.
Do you want to apologize to PSE?
I do. I'm sorry. No. But no, the argument of saying that reflex isn't what matters, like, come on. Why do your target bows have less reflex than your hunting bows?
Well, the funny thing is, if they're saying that it doesn't matter, but they actually are manufacturing a bow that like has less reflex.
Actually, I should say in their defense, so I can throw something else out here. Their dynamic brace height on their target bow is probably better too. So the argument that they're making of what really matters is dynamic brace height.
You have an Allen
measuring
wrench
your
kit
brace height
in here.
I had one in my pocket. I see it right there. I'm going to get up again.
Yeah, just one more time to stretch your legs. I don't want to have the bow on the table, but I want to talk about the Dialed Pruf. The Pruf.
I think it's second to the smallest or third to the smallest. It's definitely not that one. It's way too big. So in PSE's dynamic brace height is drawing the bow back to full draw, measuring the load off point or whatever they want to call it. Everybody likes to call it something different. Where the string leaves the cam in a straight line down and then measure your brace height there. And that's your actual functional measurable brace height measurement. And if you have longer limbs on your bows, in general, you're going to have a higher dynamic brace height. Most bow manufacturers today have shortened their limbs and shortened their limbs more and shortened their limbs more because it reduces vibration and recoil and movement. All those things are typically improved to the consumer. Like, they like that better in general. So PSE hasn't. So it's the argument you would make if you wanted to say why our bows are better.
Do you think that the like manufacturing process of the limbs has gotten better over the last 20 years, like exponentially, and that's why they've been able to shorten the limbs?
I think they've been forced to.
Okay.
They've been forced to make a more durable limb with a better composition and a better contour and a better flex point, because the limb would break if you made it that short, which is why for such a long time, bow manufacturers didn't shorten their limbs. Well, certain brands were shortening them. Go for it. Lovely. Where certain brands were shortening them, other brands weren't, because they couldn't seem to shorten their limb without the tests breaking the limb. So they had to work it over and over and over and over again, and figure out what was causing the breakage before they could successfully make a shorter limb.
But that's the cool part about where we are now, is now we have shorter limbs, longer risers.
Almost all of them. Some don't.
But the majority of them.
Yes. Majority of bow manufacturers have relatively short limbs.
Like, we're getting out of the box more accurate platforms than we were 15 years ago.
Well, it depends on who's telling you what accuracy means and what makes a bow accurate.
What I mean is, a normal human being gets the bow set up, shooting through paper, can walk out and then have a good experience at 60 yards.
100%. And if you understand or believe that reflex geometry makes a difference, the shorter your limb, the less reflex you have to have the less reflex you have to have in your bow riser to make the same brace height bow.
Hey, if you're here and you're not bored, like and subscribe.
This is a little too nerdy.
No, it's not too nerdy. It is interesting. The engineering side of archery, once you get into a more like, once you dive into this, you really start to understand how much physics is involved in this. And like, you're kind of a stupid guy, but you've really got a good grasp on
a stupid guy.
All right, let's talk about the Dialed Pruf real quick. So the reason I'm doing what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get the evenness of the adjustment knob. So like, as I'm doing this, all right, let me start over.
When I just want to way harder not bolted onto a bow.
I know. But it's not that it's hard actually doing that. Okay. I want to commend Dialed for making a massive leap forward with this scope. So compared to their version 1, like, I purposefully didn't let them send me the first version, because I wanted to, like, I saw things and I was like, I'm going to buy that. I paid full price for it. I ordered off the website. I didn't say anything. And I was like, I'm going to make a video about this. And I destroyed it because it deserved destroying. No offense, it deserved it.
Before you get too deep, I want to comment on that. Okay,
all right.
Before you run into that.
I have never sent more notes to a company and said, I know you didn't ask me. I know you didn't ask. Here's the things that I think I would change.
Yeah.
And you do that shit all the time. I don't. But I did that for them, to them. I imposed my will upon them. And I see many of those changes in this. I'm not saying that was me, but what I'm saying is I think there was consistent feedback that they actually listened to.
I'm sure they did. Well, it's one of the only times that I refused to review a product. I wouldn't review it because I'd seen one already in person. And they wanted to send me one, and I was like, you don't want to send me one. You'd rather me not review it. And I don't do that. Like, I have a rule personally, right? If I can't look at a product and try to give it at least half of the things that I'm going to point out are positive. If I can't come up with at least half, I'm not going to do it. Because I'm going to look like
version 1.
All it's going to do is look like I'm shitting all over them, and I'm not going to do it. But I'm also clearly going to be myself, which I think we've established is what's going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah.
So I just like, don't send it to me. Just don't. I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. I know I'm going to have a really hard time coming up with multiple positive things to say from what I have seen already. And granted, the one I had seen was a prototype and it was 3D printed and it was very imperfect, but the concepts of what was occurring, I disagreed with heavily.
Okay.
Now, I was super excited to review that site.
Okay.
Because I thought it was a drastic. I've never seen, and I think I said this in my video, I've never seen a better Generation 1 to better Generation 2 turnaround in my life.
You did say that.
Like they changed like almost everything that I was like, I'm not even going to talk about this, was gone. So commended heavily, great job. because oh God, I was gonna shit all over it like man. Just like, God, what are you guys doing?
Another $1 to the swear jar.
Come on. Like there's so many modernized things when it comes to a site that are being completely disregarded here. I don't understand. But I like it a lot. Like it would be in my like top 3 choices of sites to hunt with this year. I would put that on my bow and not feel like I was giving up something to use it. Right? And that's how I try to establish whether or not I would use a site. By putting this on here, do I feel like I'm leaving something majorly on the table by using it? Because there's so many different features that every other site has that makes them a little different than the next one, right?
Yep.
And I would use that and not think twice about it. I might actually hunt with that site this year. I don't know. I haven't decided. Because I have a hard time getting past Black Gold's dual track sight picture. But James just stripped out another one this weekend.
That's wild.
Now, but it's an older one. So in all fairness,
and
in all fairness, they
what
told
did
me
they tell you?
They told me that they changed the cuts and the way it's cut in it, so you shouldn't have that problem.
And that was
again.
your biggest complaint with
And that
them?
was my biggest complaint.
Montana Black
It's really my
Gold.
only complaint. It really is, because the site itself is priced very reasonably. It has every adjustment that I want a site to have. It's just I kept getting ones where the gear would strip out. And we were 4 targets left or 3 targets left on Prime on the last day. And James would get down to 60 and ripped right out. He's like, oh, there it went. Oh, geez, oh, Pete.
Oh, geez,
Oh, geez, oh, Pete.
Like
right?
he expected
kept
it to
going,
happen.
It's a tool. He said that all weekend. His bows fall over. It's a tool. He strips it out and I'm like, your tool's broke.
The good news about that is they'll send him a new one. They'll send him a new one for free.
He's got
He would
another
have
one
cried.
at home. He's got a backup at home in case something went wrong. And I will preface this. I want to say that's like a 2-year-old one. So that was pre any of those solutions.
Okay.
Right? Like he's had that specific one for a while.
Yeah.
Because I ended up rebuilding the front end on it because it was a Bowtech labeled one and they don't make a micro adjust in a Bowtech labeled. I'm like, well, we can just grab a Black Gold one, swap the front ends out, and you can have micro adjust.
Why would they not make one in the Bowtech labeled? That's so silly.
There is so many
Because that's
there are so
also
many
like-
Bowtech things that are so silly.
Bowtech,
Like
get your
so
shit
many.
together.
No, there's like
Make a
there's a
34-inch
lot.
Virtue.
I have no
don't
idea if that's coming
we
or
don't.
not. I have no
Maybe
idea.
it's a 36. We don't know.
But there's just so many things there. It's like, God, you have so
Hilarious.
many cool features. Why can't you just put it all
Just
together?
lack of continuity.
Yeah, or like who's making your decisions and
Right.
how many resources did you ask before you made those decisions?
Canon cameras does the same thing. They purposefully cripple stuff. Mm-hmm. We're shooting on a Canon, by the way, but they purposefully...
Jeff Dodds, are you listening?
Yeah, but Jeff is Josh's camera guy. So they purposefully
We fight
freaking
about this a
cripple
lot.
stuff, dude. And it's so stupid. And I wonder if Bowtech's doing the same thing because they think market segments. No. We're not going to do this over here because if you want this thing, then this is what you got to do. But they have to have lost market share. Black Gold, when UV came in and Dialed came in, I don't know how much Dialed... Dude, I see these everywhere.
They're very trendy.
They're very trendy.
Very trendy.
But this is an expensive,
Probably,
trendy
it's
item.
probably Scotty. Scotty's just selling them everywhere.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scotty's a good time guy.
Yeah. I do like him.
Shout out to Bowtalk on TikTok. He is hilarious. He is a good time. And he is quite a good shooter. So don't let the humor and joking around fool you. He can shoot.
Okay.
Yeah. Good dude.
Let's dig back in on this. So initially, my thoughts are comparing this to another like top end high dollar scope. I don't like the way it moves. So
I agree.
It feels gritty.
They could absolutely improve that.
So I don't know if they could add some sort of oil or some sort of like making this material.
Oil never goes well.
Okay, I don't mean oil. What like Teflon or some sort of material that's
Cut the
going to
teeth
make
out of
this
something
feel
different.
a little less gritty. But here's the other problem: the grit changes.
Out of the three high end, the 3 new sites this year, right? Ultraview, well, HHA was new too. Ultraview, Dialed, Excel, and HHA. It's the worst feeling one.
Yeah.
Fair?
Now, and the reason that's an issue is when you're going for a micro change. So like when you're like, okay, I'm at 32 and I ranged because I moved to the next target and it's at 29. It's more difficult to get there.
Gotcha.
Now, on a 3D range, maybe not as big an issue. Like, okay, that's fine. The other thing that I notice is when I'm here and basically all the weight is up high, it's harder to move, and then it gets a little easier, a little easier, a little easier, a little easier. Like as the weight gets below the balance point,
Sure.
it changes.
Yep.
The third axis, I haven't quite been able to figure out how. Like, I was able to just kind of move it to get it in, so I don't know if it's micro adjust. I'd have to check, but like, so you take this lockdown knob off,
okay,
and then you get into the third axis here, and then you can loosen it up. But I don't know if it's actually micro. But if it is micro and it's that's a problem. So there's basically a hidden.
That's the second.
But
that's the second.
Okay, that's the second. But would you ever have to mess with that? And why is it hidden by the housing?
That's holding that together.
Good.
That's
okay.
not that.
Just making sure.
So your third.
Well, that was what I was looking at. I didn't know if the third was micro at all.
Is that lock for the windage?
I think that's locked for the windage.
Okay.
Because you shouldn't take the knob off.
Did you
trying
actually physically adjust this?
I physically adjusted it, yes.
Did you find it to be sighted in, or I've been to your house, it's all flat?
Yeah, but it was, yes.
Give me the wrench.
But even when I looked.
Give me the wrench. I'm going to fuck with it and figure it out.
But even when I looked over the top, by the way, $1 in the swear jar.
Whoop, whoop.
If you're here, like and subscribe. I know that this video is a little long. I don't know that we're long compared to what we're doing yet.
I have no idea what time it is.
It doesn't matter. We're doing fine. But this, I think, is I think that us digging into something like this and giving not our, like, this is my kind of second impression of this. Josh has looked at this a little bit.
I never played with a third in this.
But that's what I was curious about.
This is weird because this is like not doing anything.
But loosen it up.
Oh, it's a dowel. This is absolutely not micro adjust.
Okay.
This is hot dog in a hallway, roll it in and out. Okay, so I guess for people watching in video, I don't know if you can see the little round circle right here. It's on that round circle. So when you loosen that screw, the whole thing just rotates back and forth.
Yes.
No micro adjust.
Okay, so when I had it locked in the bow, what I did was look straight down the bow, and I basically
and make it look like a scope.
That's what I did.
Okay,
and I just now you messed it all up. You're exactly right. You screwed it up.
It's totally dicked.
So if the third axis is the only non-micro adjust, if you loosen it up and you just kind of break it loose, there's still enough tension that it's not really losing itself.
Yeah,
like maybe acceptable.
Well, most third axes are not a fine tuning piece, like they're coarse like that.
Are they?
Almost everyone's coarse. Yeah.
UVs. The other thing that's interesting about UVs is it's on the bar. So like it's actually the entire bar is moving.
Do you know where that came from?
No.
Black gold.
Okay. Do you? Yes, actually, now that I think about it, you're right. Because Black Gold had that piece of tape over there, sticker over there.
Yep.
That they were like, don't mess with it, screw it up.
Don't move it more than a half a rotation.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't screw it up.
Yeah, don't screw this up.
You're so dramatic. It's almost like you were an actor at some point.
Sometimes. I wasn't an actor. I was a musician.
Other than when you're trying to do Step Brothers skits.
I know, you
scared me. Oh my God,
me.
you killed me.
No, it was terrible.
I was just so convincingly John C. Reilly.
I was so nervous. You guys did do a good job. That was very funny.
He cut out the part I wanted to add. I was so pissed. Now, doesn't that just strike you as a creative individual that had the idea? And it's like, hey, put this in here. And that's the one thing he took out.
Listen. He's your camera guy. You can tell him to do a better job. You can tell him.
I don't like to impede creative freedom. I really don't, because I understand what it's like to have your own vision of something and somebody to just stand on it and try to make it theirs.
When you're paying his full-time salary, you freaking tell him what you want to do.
But Brandon, that still matters. It's not full-time. He's an independent contractor. He's an independent contractor.
I apologize. Labor Bureau, Department of Labor.
It could be close to full-time time-wise, but it's a contract. It's not.
Yeah.
He's not my employee. He does not work for me. He works for himself.
Nobody cares about this. Hey, if you care about it.
I said it once and he got upset. So I'm sorry. I pay you to do a job. My bad.
If you care about the fact that Josh's camera guy is not Josh's camera guy and he's his own independent man, like and subscribe.
Hey,
follow me at Brandon McDonald _Archery on Instagram.
Don't make fun of him. I guarantee you Micah Morgan's got the same deal. He's his own man.
Dude, I need to talk to that guy.
I'm
telling you,
cool.
I will fanboy over few people in the industry, but people that can make hunting cinema.
Yeah,
that's.
Did you look at Bomar's channel the last couple of days and the couple of videos that he put up from already?
No.
God, Micah's good, dude. Oh my God.
Did Micah shoot for him?
Yeah, Micah filmed us. Oh. Yeah, both. We shot 2 courses.
Okay.
Micah was filming both of them,
yeah.
and he's been making things off of it already.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, it's good.
Okay.
I'll show him too.
All right, let's dive back into this. But then I do.
Micah Morgan is a hunting video god.
But that's the thing is, I feel like he's hunting cinema.
He is
cinema, and that's what I want to get. That's what I want to be able to reach the level of.
Yes, and I don't want to like degrade Jeff because he does a phenomenal job and that sort of thing. But just Mike is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, one also just takes like years of experience, like to know what to, because you're literally hunting too.
He told me how long they've been doing it. I thought it was like 16 years. Yeah, and I was like, how many? I know it's your brother. How often do you guys get in a fight? He's like 3 in like 16 years. So I was like, well, I know he kind of seemed easy going, and you seem pretty easy going, so that's cool.
That would be really interesting to see. Like, ultimately, though, like when you're hunting, Levi is the guy that's leading, and he's saying, "Here's what we're going to go do," or "We're going to agree on this." And then Micah knows, like, I'm not getting in front of you and trying to get B-roll when you're like stalking something.
No, that's after.
Correct. I will be trying to make sure that I am not blowing the hunt for you, so I'll be behind you, and I just want to make sure that I've got an over-the-shoulder perfect of the shot. But like the little subtle details that he thinks about, like there's this moment in the video where Levi, I know there's fruit flies everywhere in here. What kind of homeless shelter are we freaking filming in right now?
I have like a device for killing them right here. I just put it in here.
I'm sure there's literally just like a random like quarter-eaten apple somewhere
that
you don't
guaranteed
know about.
There's not.
There's not.
Guaranteed.
It doesn't smell weird in here.
No,
it smells nice in here.
No,
I'm the worst smelling thing in here right now.
They let off bombs last week over there, but they didn't put any over here. So I think whatever they pushed, whatever
just
was
driving the fruit flies eastward.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We could keep going on Micah. Jesus, we're doing the thing. We're getting into our cups.
We're getting into the cups.
We're getting into the cups.
Boy.
Let's stick on the proof. So another thing that I find interesting is the connection points on these rings. You see that? Mm-hmm. So basically, they're for audio listeners. There's a plastic part on the rings that you've got an Allen screw that screws into this cylinder that goes around, and the connection point is really like horrible. Like it's like they cut it with a pair of like tin snips. And the only reason that I would say that matters is my concern would be does that affect somehow the threading that's on the backside of this? Like, am I going to get any slippage out of this or anything? It removes some confidence, and out of a top shelf product.
Yeah, no, I get it. Looks like it was an afterthought of a way you connect those together. But I mean, if you take it apart, what's underneath it and what does it look like? If there's teeth on both, it won't matter what that looks like. And I'd imagine there's probably teeth, or does it just slide? If it just slides, that's kind of a little hokey, I would say.
Why is this not?
Once again, let's just loosen your side up and move it and see what happens.
Why is this not aluminum? Well, we can.
Why is it not aluminum? Because you can't anodize aluminum white. And this is their whole color coding. This is part of their Spiffy and McSpifferson kind of thing. You can change out these. You can change out those. You can change out the head.
And I will say
you
that's
can color
cool,
code
though.
Exactly.
Like
a princess
Dialed
like you would love that shit.
Exactly. Dialed has so many cool colors.
They do.
And the form factor of this is still fantastic. Like it still maintains the version 1, but it looks a little more like, to me, it's a little tougher.
It's the aesthetic of the version 1 thought out really well.
Yeah. So all the adjustments, that was one of my biggest complaints, was they were using really tiny Allen screws because they probably wanted the thing to be totally sleek. So every Allen screw on there was literally like the smallest one or the second smallest one inside the Allen wrench set, which just seemed like a terrible idea. All of these are a much more reasonable size, and you can actually see them. Like they've labeled first, second, and third axis adjustments. I found adjusting the windage to be really nice and satisfying. So you just kind of break this thing loose in the front, and then
it's nice and positive. That sounds great.
Now, did I do it the right amount of times that when I go back out to 100?
It sounded like you did the same. I counted 4. I could hear my 1 to the 4, 1 to the 4, 1 to the 4, 1 to the 4.
Yeah. So I will say that, like, durability wise, I'm curious. The pins, this is another thing that I find interesting. So you like to shoot long distance.
Love to shoot long distance.
So,
it's so fun.
This scope to me would kind of make sense. But when you look at this housing, so the another unique thing about them is they put the bubble on the top, not on the bottom. But why would they not drop that bottom pin down farther?
That is a great question because the premise of putting the bubble on the top and the way they've designed their sight is to shoot as far as possible.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. I don't know why it's not lower.
So basically, you've got this big mounting thing.
I have to go back and look at the previous one. Was it lower? Like the original model? Was it in the bottom of that V?
I know. I wonder about that too. It might have been. But then is that V, like, why is the V there? Like, can you get that bitch all the way down?
It's a plastic pin.
Could you add one more?
It's a plastic pin. It would probably snap off.
Give me some aluminum.
I'm not disagreeing, dude.
I'm just saying, like, if that was aluminum and it didn't have that. So basically for audio listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we're available on all audio podcasting platforms.
Hold on. That's plastic, isn't it?
I would assume it is. I don't know. Give it a bend. Just replace it if you break it.
Well, aluminum will bend, too, if you push on it.
Well, don't push on it too hard.
Plastic. I think it's plastic. It looks plastic to me.
It's shiny.
It's shiny plastic.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking.
You can
like
get
black
anodized shiny.
Shiny?
Yeah, you can.
Well, okay, so let's say that was...
I'm pretty sure that's plastic.
But if that was aluminum, in theory, maybe you would have enough... Even if the sides of that were hollowed out, and then you put one more fiber all the way at the bottom...
No, if it was titanium.
Yeah, see, everything should be titanium. Get your raw materials from China, Ukraine, South Africa, Congo.
Ukraine mostly. Yeah. I think 85% of the world's titanium comes from Ukraine. It's a little messy over there now.
I've heard of a thing or two.
I've heard of a thing or two of being messy over there.
I just see this like pyramid at the bottom of material.
I agree.
And you think about if that were gone, you could literally add another pin that was even farther down, or you could adjust those pins.
There's even another option or thought that nobody's ever really thought of or put in a site, but that's for a later date.
You don't want to say that now?
No.
Okay, keep it. Share. Keep it for you. Keep it for you.
No, I'm not making a site.
Gosh, I would love for you to make a site to just watch your head start to explode as you're trying to get all the shit put together. Like, it would be so good. I just come in. Josh has gained 100 pounds because he's stressed.
No, not at all. No, the sites aren't that complicated. I mean, granted, out of all the different parts or things you would make, the bow would be the worst. The sight would be the second worst, hands down. There's so many parts and pieces to it to make it work. But at the same time, I mean, no one's really reinventing the wheel in this stuff. They're not. They're making the same thing.
Does your new thing
how they
reinvent
move it or
the
how
wheel?
they drive it's different?
Does your new thing reinvent the wheel?
Well, I got ideas, but it's not. I can't do it, and that's the problem because I couldn't sit here and talk about a proof and have anybody listen to my input and believe it if I made a site. So I choose not to.
Yeah, that's
I give away my ideas to brands that are working on them if they want to hear them.
Yeah,
for the most part.
So
I don't have a personal agenda. I want all products to be better.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
when I look at something, I can usually figure out how a good way to improve it. Period. That's just kind of how my brain works, and maybe I'm wrong in how I think it would be better, but I usually have useful input that most people can appreciate. But a lot of it depends on their engineers and if they want to listen, because engineers are right all the time. Just ask them; they'll tell you. So trying to give engineers input from someone that isn't an engineer sometimes doesn't go well. I've tried several brands on certain things of like, look, I don't want anything. Just why don't you do it like this? Or why don't you change it a little bit like that? Because I don't want to dabble in that world. I'll make an insert because who's going to, I'm not like critiquing inserts.
Right.
I'm not judging inserts and ranking inserts, but I want to be able to review sites. I want to be able to review rests.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not reviewing stabilizers because no offense, they're not that different, period. There's just such a small, intricate difference between stabilizer to stabilizer to stabilizer that you can make stabilizers, talk about stabilizers, and not think any differently of it.
Yeah.
But sights, rests, broadheads, bows, you just...
There are a few sensitive, like more things that actually will... The boozy bitch is hitting me good and solid.
They're good,
right
dude.
now.
Yeah.
And I wanted
How
to
long
go.
have we been doing this?
I wanted to get too deep.
It's 7:15.
I don't know what time we started.
Dude,
we also took a break.
Pod.
We also took a break. Let's
Barely.
wrap up on this.
Yes,
the indicator pins suck. Look at the bottom one.
Oh, dude.
Look at the bottom one.
Wow.
So it's off kilter.
It is.
So I'll have to figure that out if it's bent or if it's a thing that I can move. But like when you look at the quality of
they're not
UV,
the same either. What is going on?
That's what I'm wondering. And they're not sharp. Like it's weird, and they're really far off the tape. So the indicator needles are not super awesome.
Oh yeah, that's way weird.
That's weird.
That's weird.
That's a weird one. So all the adjustments.
Hold on. When you wrote. So that one looks shorter than that one. That one's longer. That one's even longer yet.
I mean,
weird.
That I don't care about. Are they stacked one on top of the other? Like, is it like a cylinder thing on the inside to get them to mount where they're stacked so that they stick out farther? But the bottom one is angled.
Yeah.
Like like if they were all even, but one was sticking out farther, that I wouldn't care about. But
Maybe
the bottom one is literally
ring off
like,
to figure it out.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's weird.
Does Dialed still have some like young company kinks to work out? Because UltraView definitely went through that in the very beginning. They had some manufacturing issues to work out, and they did. So does Dialed still have some of those same issues?
Well, I think you can. I think you can look at a Dialed, or you can look at an UltraView, even the new one, and still find some things that, hey, how come you didn't do it like this, or how come you didn't change that? And that's always going to exist, right? There's always room for improvement in every product, no matter what, no matter who designed it, including myself. It's very easy to, say, hey, why didn't you do it like that? Someone sees something that you don't see.
It's not that. It's, to me, what I perceive as a mistake or as a thing that is an issue. Like,
I agree. Like watching this move, it's like, what? That looks like it wasn't meant to look that way. Like, I almost want to go out and grab another one and look at it. Does it look like that?
Did you sell me a shitty weird one? Now, if I'm hunting,
I don't know what you're talking about, Brandon.
if I'm I mean, literally like trying to move that just micro, like trying to adjust it. If I'm not resting my hand, if I try to just do it like the Dialed.
I know what you're talking about. So since this is stiff enough, what I probably personally would do is I'd probably just unbolt that and take it off altogether and never lock it.
And pass. I hate that idea.
And if you can tighten that a little bit, that's a little too loose.
As a whitetail guy,
I've never locked a black gold sight in my life. Not once.
I lock everything all the time. So I would want to make sure that I knew exactly where I was. So I also don't see a zero stop 20 on that.
Negative.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it doesn't feel like a hard hit.
Yeah, it does not.
No. Now, what they say is to adjust it basically to where, because that's a fixed top pin, to where that's your 20. So what you would do is take this down. And then
no, hold on.
Hold on.
There is a zero stop 20.
Well, there is. Sort of. Okay. This gets down to the bottom and stops.
Correct. And then you move the scope head up until you get to 20. And then you move the
scope head up or down.
That is by definition a zero stop 20.
Okay.
That's what black gold does.
Okay.
So that's huge. That's huge. That's huge. That's the greatest way to do a zero stop 20.
Okay.
There's no better way to do it. Okay. Everyone should do it that way. It's amazing
because it's large. It's
one
like,
would say American.
It's the biggest.
I could
like it's not like Excel where there's like this little bitty anodized piece of aluminum that it feels like you may be able to push out.
No, I agree.
You can't push past this. And
that's the point. That's you're using the sight's actual functional movement where it ends, and then you independently adjust the scope head in coordination with that. So it is really the best stuff you can have.
So I will say, when you unscrew these two screws, which adjusts this one is how you also adjust the second axis. When you loosen up a lot, you can pull the entire head off, the entire scope, like this whole thing. And if you wanted to store it like the UV, you could.
Yeah, but you'd never get your second axis right again.
No, it's
is there screws in the side or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So like I think you kind of can. And honestly, when I did it, because I did it and pulled it all the way off, when I put it back in, it was like nice and straight in there. So I don't know. Maybe that's like a little cheat. They definitely did not mean to, because it wasn't like super easy to get.
No, I'm pretty sure that is not in the directions anyway.
It's not just me messing around with stuff. Yeah. All right, so let's wrap this up. So Dialed Pruf overall, I would say for a second gen version, it is so much better than the first gen, which makes me be like, congratulations, guys! Like, keep moving forward. I think that this is such a good improvement. Do I think that it is it $5.99?
Yeah, I think so. It's right in there.
That's mucho dinero.
Says the guy with an UltraView tattoo at $6.99.
I have, and I bought this. So like,
I'm aware.
So suck
I'm
it.
aware. I said, here, put this on there. Like, that's way better than the other one.
You literally just made me do it.
I made you buy it.
I don't think I gave you my credit card yet, but yes,
you're not wrong.
Yeah. So I will continue to shoot this though, because I want to kind of feel it out. Like, and I'm also curious about the sight picture as I continue to make sure that like my peep and all that stuff is good. Do I end up liking this sight picture? And I'm real curious. I already hate the center red pin because I can't see it.
Yeah.
So the center pin that's on the stick, because it feels so small, even in the middle of the day. It's a little janky.
It's better than not having anything.
Yeah, but still, it's a $600 freaking scope.
So
what I'm doing is moving the sunshade back and forth.
They sell a light that sits over the top of that.
They do.
Yeah.
I think they do, but
Did
that's
it come
also
with it, or was
but
it
that's
separate?
No, it's separate.
Well, I know they do then because the sample I got sent had a light on.
Yeah, but like I still now what I'm doing is it's the same thing as Excel. That feels like such a janky afterthought compared to the tech that's on the black gold. That purple shield thing, as shittily as that thing has been installed for forever, is so cool. Like
it's probably one of the most underthought of great ideas in the site
ever. It's so good because the pin brightness
years.
Never changes.
Yeah, it's always the same. Like it's always the right level of brightness.
What's wrong with us? Why don't we just shoot black gold? Why don't we just tell everybody else? I'll get my tattoos removed. Why don't we
James
just shoot
just
black gold?
stripped out another rail.
That was 2 years. That was a 2-year-old black gold.
I know, but I've got one on the Mathews at home. I changed out the Excel after Tennessee and put that back on there because it was so bright. I was like, God,
it was super bright.
It was super bright.
That
one was
bright.
like insane. Like in low light, I bet you that thing rocks. That site
like the like the sun.
Uno dos.
All right. If you're still here, like and subscribe. Comment below that you made it all the way to the end of a very long
2 hours
pod.
or something.
For sure it is. Listen, Rogan does 3 hours all the time. We can do 2. We can do 2/3 of a Rogan. Thank you guys very much for watching. For real, we are very grateful. Please like and subscribe. Discount code BMAC at podiumarcher.com. Follow Josh at podiumarcher on Instagram. Follow his YouTube channel because I do forget that we're posting this on my channel, which makes no sense, but I appreciate it. Podium Archer on YouTube and everywhere that podcasts are available.
I'm Brandon McDonald.